Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for these character sheets and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for smarter party leaders next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Bow and Glimmer from She-Ra, who follow in the Grand Eternia tradition of having simple names to explain their simple abilities. Bow has a bow. Glimmer glimmers. If they ever have children in a future series, they should name them Win and Cinnamon Roll. So one always wins, and one always makes cinnamon rolls.
I got it.
We'll start with bow because alphabet, I guess. First, we need a bow, and probably some arrows. A bow by itself doesn't really work. Next, we need to put funky stuff into the arrows. Nets, kabooms, magnifying glasses. Shoutouts to archers who have arrows that solve any problem for them. Gotta be one of my favorite genders. Finally, we'll get some brain power to make our dads proud. Even though they're already proud of us, this show's wholesome. For stats, we're using the point buy. Use whatever method you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Dexterity at 15, and that's the shooting stat. You shoot things good. Intelligence at 14, your dad's trained you to be a librarian, which is objectively the coolest job. Wisdom at 12, you need sharp eyes to shoot sharply. Charisma at 11, people like Bow, but he's not really aiming for political office. Strength and Constitution down at 10. He's got the abs to fill out the tummy window, but it's not like he's throwing cars anywhere. Bow is a human. Humans are great sharpshooters at level 1 because they can grab the sharpshooter feat, letting you fire at max range without disadvantage, ignore all but full cover, and take a -5 penalty to your attack roll to add 10 to the damage roll, which should turn the minions of Hordak into skeletons. Dead skeletons, not walking skeletons like they already were. Bump your dexterity and charisma with your 2 free points, take persuasion for your skill of choice, and the athlete background for athletics and acrobatics. That way you don't need to be intimidated by all the buff people surrounding you. We'll kick things off as a fighter since they're good at archery, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First, you need history and perception proficiency. Now we can talk about archery. It's a fighting style that gives you +2 to your attack rolls with ranged weapons, helping alleviate the sharpshooter penalty or just making your regular shots more accurate. You also get second wind, letting you heal 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest. Just take a deep breath. It's not like the world's ending. Well, it's not like heavy breathing will stop the world from ending. Second level fighters get action surge, letting you make 2 actions in 1 turn once per short rest. Maybe you want to shoot 2 arrows in a turn. Maybe you want to disengage because melee is not your thing. Maybe you want to dash and disengage because there's a scorpion the size of a human woman attacking you, and that's scary. Third level fighters can choose a martial archetype, and arcane archers are great at using archery in an arcane way, with arcane lore giving you arcana proficiency to study the first ones, and prestidigitation to do a bunch of tiny magical stuff, heating things, cooling things, cleaning things, making small objects that fit in your hand. It's the I bet I have an arrow for that spell. But the main draw of the subclass is arcane shots. You get 2. Grasping arrow is a nice net, dealing an extra 2d6 poison damage, slowing the target it hits by 10 feet, and dealing 2d6 slashing damage when they move on their turn. They can clear the brambles with an athletics check, so we'll invest in intelligence eventually. Bursting arrow deals 2d6 force damage to creatures within 10 feet of the creature you hit, including the creature you hit, if you just need to add a little extra kaboom. 4th level fighters get an ability score improvement, bump your dexterity for more accurate shots. Missing your enemies can mean missing your friends, because your friends got captured by the enemies. 5th level fighters get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action, or up to 4 with an action surge. Pairing with sharpshooter, that can deal some bananas damage, eventually. Banana arrows. 6th level fighters get another ability score improvement, letting you cap off your dexterity modifier so we can start working on intelligence for more funky arrows, eventually. Not right now. First, we need to go to Artificer for some more funky arrows. You get magical tinkering to turn tiny, non-magical items into a magical little thing. It's like another prestidigitation for the all-fixing arrows. You also get spells and cantrips. Light lets you see in the dark with your bad human eyes. Resistance gives a creature a d4 they can add to their next saving throw to keep your friends safe. And for your first level spells, Identify tells you what a magical item is, what it does, and how many charges it has left to better understand the first one's tech. Jump triples your jump distance for a minute. We'll get a grappling hook thing in a second, but this is way faster than that's going to be. Second level artificers get infusions, special pieces of tech to let you do cooler stuff. Enhanced weapon adds 1 to the attack and damage rolls of a weapon and makes it magical in terms of overcoming resistances for a bow that can blast through robots. Rope of climbing creates a rope that automatically climbs for you, but it only goes 10 feet per round. If you just need to clear a small gap, use the jump spell instead. Wand of magical detection lets you cast detect magic to sense magical auras and the type of magic causing them, which would help you with your research. For your last one, maybe enhanced defense to add 1 to your AC while wearing armor. You rock a bare midriff, so anything higher than light doesn't really feel accurate. Back to fighter now. 7th level arcane archers get magic shot, letting you make all of your arrows magical. Dipping to Artificer, when you get this anyway, might seem weird, but the +1 to attack and damage rolls and the extra artifact investigation stuff is still the right move for Bow. There's also Curving Shot, letting you turn a missed attack into an attack roll against another creature as a bonus action, so the sharpshooter penalty is even less intense now as long as you have 2 potential targets. And you get another arcane shot, like Enfeebling Arrow, to add 2d6 necrotic damage to a shot and force a constitution saving throw on the creature you hit, making them deal half damage with weapon attacks until the start of your next turn. If they fail, it's offense and defense at the same time. 8th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Start working on your intelligence modifier for harder to avoid arcane shot effects. 9th level fighters get Indomitable, letting you reroll failed saving throws once per long rest. You're not really bad at any saving throws since your lowest stats are a flat 0, and they're both buffed by proficiency from starting as a fighter. That's strength and constitution. 10th level arcane archers get another arcane shot like Seeking Arrow, which forces a dexterity saving throw on a creature you've seen in the last minute, dealing an extra d6 of force damage as well, and letting you know their location if they're hidden. Weirdly, this is probably less accurate since your dexterity is higher than your intelligence, but you can use it to find a pesky rogue. 11th level fighters get another extra attack, letting you make 3 attacks per round or 6 with an action surge. That's 6d8 plus 96 magical piercing damage per round with sharpshooter. You might be dealing even more damage than She-Ra at this point. 12th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Keep working on your intelligence score so your Seeking Arrow can seek as well as your normal arrows. 13th level fighters get another use of Indomitable. Worth noting, you can use these on death saving throws too. She-Ra is a pretty bummer-free show. By the end of things, it gets a little hairy towards the end, but yeah, it ends on a happy note, so don't die. 14th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Cap off your intelligence score to be your own man, but also to be the man your dads want you to be. Turns out that's not mutually exclusive goals. 15th level arcane archers get Ever Ready Shot, meaning that if you ever roll initiative with no uses of arcane shot left, you get one. Honestly, 2 uses per short rest is the saddest part of arcane archer, so this fixes up their biggest weakness. I mean, it doesn't totally fix it, but it helps. For this shot option, Shadow Arrow adds 2d6 psychic damage to a shot and forces a wisdom saving throw on a creature you hit, stopping them from seeing anything more than 5 feet away from them if they fail. Hey, that's another defensive offensive option. You're so well balanced. 16th level fighters get another ability score improvement. Bump your wisdom for better perception checks so we can multi-class again later. First, we'll hit the 17th level of fighter for another use of Indomitable and action surge, because those are really good, like tasty, delicious, good. Our capstone is the 1st level of monk. You could mix this in earlier if you want, or skip it entirely to add more damage to your arcane shots with another level of arcane archer. But by coming back to monk, you get unarmored defense, making your AC 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifier while you let your torso breathe. You also get martial arts to make unarmed attacks using your dexterity modifier. They deal 1d4 plus your dexterity modifier in damage, and you can make an unarmed attack as a bonus action after you make one with your action. Since you have 3 attacks per round as a fighter normally, that's actually going to be decent damage with your dexterity modifier. It's not a bad option if someone gets in your face. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, sharpshooter is great, and a +1 weapon makes yours a little more accurate. You've also got some great consistency with no negative saving throws and 3 uses of Indomitable per day to re-roll failed saving throws. Finally, you got quite a few skills. Archers are pretty simple. They shoot stuff. If you make an archer that shoots stuff good, you made a good archer. But that's also the weakness. This build just shoots stuff. That's fine if you like to shoot stuff, but if you don't, well, why are you playing a character named Bow? Do you love wrapping presents? The Artificer dip also kept us from another extra attack. That quick dip is pretty good for a normal campaign, but if you're just gonna start off at level 20 for some sort of free-for-all one-shot, definitely do 20 levels of pure fighter. Finally, you don't have a lot of mobility options to get somewhere high and snipe quickly. But again, you shoot good, and all of your shots are magical, which is generally the only negative thing about a capped-off fighter version archer. Bow is good with a bow, who could have guessed? Now if only we had a way to teleport up to the rafters.
+5 secure.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to teleport, moving faster than the speed of light. Next, we need light, even if we're faster than it. Finally, we'll get some fighting skills. It's nice to talk things out when you can, but your DM is probably going to make you do some combat every now and then. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Charisma will be number 1. You're a princess, and kind of the leader of the princesses, so you need some leadership. Dexterity next. Being hard to hit is important when you fight cats. Cats are really good at scratching people. Follow that up with wisdom, talking is good for leadership, but it's also important to acknowledge people's feelings. Follow that up with intelligence. You know your arcana pretty well. Eternia is loaded with magic. Constitution is a bit low. You're gonna avoid being hit in the first place, so taking hits shouldn't be a problem, and will dump strength. To be fair, when you're standing next to She-Ra and Catra, everyone looks a little frail. Eternians are humans, unless they're cats, but you're not a cat, you're a person, so we'll go human. Take Inspiring Leader for your feat of choice, letting you give up to 6 creatures temporary HP equal to your charisma modifier plus your total level at the end of a 10-minute speech. 10 minutes is long for roleplay. Hopefully your DM is fine with Princess is good, Hordak bad, Princesses win, Hordak sad. Bump your charisma and wisdom with your 2 free points, grab acrobatics for your skill of choice to avoid grapples better, and the noble background for history and persuasion skills. Being a princess has its perks. We'll kick things off as a sorcerer. That should make your parents proud. You can grab any 2 skills from the sorcerer list, like Insight and Arcana, to talk about magic with a bit of authority. Speaking of authority, the concept of the divine right was absolutely bonkers when monarchies were established, so it's horrifying that it's applied to modern political figures. Anyway, princesses and She-Ra have god powers, so Divine Soul Sorcerer is the right fit for you. You're favored by the gods, letting you re-roll a failed attack roll or a saving throw once per short rest, and you can scoop up spells and cantrips from the cleric list. Light is on both lists. It lets you see in the dark with your bad human eyes. Dancing Lights creates a bunch of smaller, dimmer lights that you can move around if that's more your speed. Sacred Flame is an offensive light, forcing a dexterity saving throw on a creature and dealing a d8 of radiant damage to those that fail. You can even ignore cover to make a bank shot. Word of Radiance is a better option if you find yourself surrounded, forcing a constitution saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing a d6 of radiant damage to those that fail. For first level spells, Color Spray lets you spray some color that blinds people. Roll 6d10 and you can blind an amount of hit points in a 15-foot cube in front of you, starting with the lowest HP creature and moving up from there. Mage Armor makes your AC 13 plus your dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor, helping you keep it light so you don't have to teleport a set of plate mail with you. That sounds exhausting. Second level sorcerers get a Font of Magic with sorcery points you can use to recover spell slots, helping you make a few more lights for the world. For this level spell, Shield lets you add 5 to your AC as a reaction. I was tempted to go Light Domain Cleric for Warding Flare, but this will do basically the same thing, making your enemies less likely to hit you as a reaction, and Charisma seems like the more fitting stat for Glimmer than Wisdom. Holy Solely is just here for you when you want to make a cleric, but want to be fun instead of pious. Third level sorcerers get Meta Magic, letting you augment your spells with sorcery points. Distant Spell doubles the range of a spell, which will get more important later, and Quicken Spell lets you cast a spell as a bonus action that normally takes an action, which will also get more important later. Because our first teleportation option is Misty Step. That teleports you 30 feet as a bonus action and has a range of self, so it goes 30 feet, but only you can go. And it's already a bonus action. We'll talk about other teleportation spells later. This is not the only thing on the menu. Fourth level sorcerers get an ability score improvement. Bump your charisma to be the brightest princess. In terms of luminosity, Intrepida is the smartest. For this level spell, Blindness and Deafness forces a constitution saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they're either blind or deafened, your choice. Blindness makes more sense with your light powers, not like you're gonna box Shadow Weaver's ears. Someone should, but that's not your thing. Fifth level sorcerers get third level spells. Blink gives you some nice defensive teleportations, letting you roll a d20 at the end of each of your turns for a minute. If you roll an 11 or higher, you spend your time waiting for the next turn in the border ethereal plane, with nothing being able to affect you in the material plane. You come back within 10 feet of where you left, so it's not really for mobility, it's just to be a pain in the butt. Sixth level Holy Soulies get empowered healing, which is only worth talking about if you have healing and Holy Macaroni. I'm already talking enough this month. My voice hurts. For this level spell, Daylight creates a 60-foot radius of bright light and 60 feet radius of dim light after that for an hour, making a tiny sun for dark caves. Seventh level sorcerers can learn fourth level spells. Dimension Door lets you teleport 500 feet away and even bring a buddy with you as an action. This actually does have a 500-foot range and a casting time of an action, so you can use Quickened and Distant Spell to great effect here. Eighth level sorcerers get another ability score improvement. Cap off your charisma modifier for maximum leadership. It's easier to fight the horde with extra HP. For this level spell, Sickening Radiance forces a constitution saving throw on creatures in a 20-foot radius sphere, dealing 4d10 radiant damage to those that fail and making them suffer a level of exhaustion. Lasts for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration, and it can be great if you want to make some sick lights that make people sick. At this point, we're going to bounce over to Monk, giving you martial arts to make unarmed attacks with your dexterity modifier. They deal 1d4 damage, and you can make one as a bonus action after you make an unarmed attack with your action. You can't be wearing armor while you do this, and that's fine. You have mage armor. We're not going to talk about unarmored defense again, since mage armor is better and they don't stack. Again, long month, lots of talking. Say voice with few words. Second level monks get key points they can use to do cool princess stuff like Step of the Wind to dash or disengage as a bonus action and double your jump distance further round, slightly useless with your other mobility options. Patient Defense lets you dodge as a bonus action. Pair that with Blink and you'll be gone in half the time and twice as hard to hit even when you're not. Flurry of Blows lets you make 2 unarmed attacks instead of 1, but your cantrips are better. That's how you deal damage. Patient Defense is the best option. option. You also get unarmored movement, making you move faster when you're not wearing armor. You don't have proficiency with armor, please don't put any on. 3rd level monks get to choose a monastic tradition. Sun Soul monks can fire radiant sun bolts, letting you throw out ranged spell attacks that use your dexterity modifier and use your monk damage die for a bunch of radiant damage, or 1d4 at this point. That's not a lot, but it can be a solid backup if you don't feel like using cantrips for some reason. You can also deflect missiles to reduce damage from incoming ranged attacks by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier and monk level, provided you aren't blinked out. If you drop the damage to 0, you can even spend a key point to throw the ammo back, but I just saved those key points for patient defense. 4th level monks get slow fall, meaning you can reduce falling damage by 5 times your monk level as a reaction. It would be pretty sweet to teleport right before you hit the ground. You also get another ability score improvement. Start working on your dexterity modifier for better AC and better monk stuff. 5th level monks get extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action, or up to 4 with a flurry of blows. Glimmer might not seem like much of a boxer, but she holds her own in a fight against Catra. Catra is pretty good at fighting. All she knows is be angry and yearn. You also get stunning strike, letting you force a constitution saving throw on a creature you hit with a weapon attack, stunning them until the end of your next turn if they fail. This uses your wisdom modifier, so it's not the best use of your key points since we won't really be able to invest in it. Save it for the patient defense. Back over to Sorcerer. 9th level sorcerers can learn 5th level spells like Far Step to teleport 60 feet as a bonus action every round for up to a minute depending on your concentration. With this and Blink, you can enjoy both defensive and mobile teleporting at the same time. It's a wild combination. Imagine, half the time your target isn't there to attack, and they always move 60 feet away, and if you're lucky enough to get to make an attack against them, they can still add 5 to their AC as a reaction to make you miss anyway, or reduce the damage of your ranged attack if you try to shoot them. You don't have a glimmer of a hope to hit them. 10th level sorcerers get another meta magic option. Extended spell doubles a spell's duration for a 2-minute blink or a 2-minute far step. Honestly, do both. It only costs 1 sorcery point. It's definitely worth it. Sometimes combat goes past 10 rounds, but rarely does it go past 20. 11th level sorcerers can learn 6th level spells. Sunbeam is a nice upgraded laser, forcing a constitution saving throw on creatures in a 60-foot line, dealing 6d8 radiant damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. If they fail, they're also blinded for the round. This also requires your concentration for a minute, so you have to decide if you want to double dip teleportation or single dip with blink and also dip into the violent sauce. 12th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement. Bump your dexterity modifier higher for more consistent stun bolts and better AC. This is our last one, meaning with mage armor you'll be at 17 or 23 after a shield spell. That's respectable, bordering on saucy. 13th level sorcerers can learn 7th level spells. Teleport lets you and 8 friends teleport anywhere on the same plane of existence that you're familiar with. The more familiar with the location you are, the more accurate your teleporting will be. Normally, bringing too many people with her can break a glimmer pretty fast, but that's obviously why you only cast this spell once per day. 14th level holy soulies get angelic form, giving you tiny wings for flying speed, which actually pairs pretty well with teleportation since there's no rule that you have to teleport on the ground. Teleport up into the air, now melee fighters can't chase you. Our capstone is the 15th level of sorcerer for 1 8th level spell. Holy aura will turn your princess power up to 11, creating a 30-foot aura that gives creatures of your choice advantage on saving throws. Creatures attacking them have disadvantage on their rolls, and if allies hit a fiend or undead, they force a constitution saving throw on them, blinding them if they fail. If you team up with a paladin princess, that basically means an invincible friendship squad. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you are so annoying to fight, with teleportation options to keep you away and to just keep you gone half the time. That will also help you and your party work your way to get to the best strategic positions. Finally, big persuasion skills will come in handy when dealing with creatures who can talk. For weaknesses, you have precious few hit points to spare, so if someone can manage to hit you, that could be an issue. You're also dependent on radiant for damage. Most creatures don't resist it, but a few celestials could cause a problem. Finally, you have too many concentration spells, so you'll have to pick and choose what you want to use. But everything you can use is great. The She-Ra team has everything you need. Bow does the damage, Glimmer puts people in the right place, and She-Ra and Catra can tank the hits. Honestly, the only thing you need is more numbers. You might lose out fighting a big horde. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We're making double videos every day this month. Join the Patreon for these character sheets and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.